I know we get tired of hearing ministers carping about the rest of the world and their habits, but I'm not going to do that today. But those habits and the source of those habits in this world have become truly saddening to true believers. And we can't continue to act as if these habits have no source. There is no believer in the world that has not heard this commandment. Turn to Exodus, the 20th chapter, the 13th verse. This is the plainest one, and we were talking about this a few minutes ago. I forgot this was in here. You shall not kill. In the modern world, for a person of any morality, this should be the simplest commandment there is to follow. The word kill is H7253, the Hebrew word rasak, meaning to murder, to slay, to kill, the taking of a human life. So many these days are not killing animals, and we got it broken down to insects now. That wasn't the intent. And if you keep doing that, you're gonna be scratching yourself a little bit more than a little bit. These things breed in bunches, and you kill them singly. The concept behind the word, though, is usually to indicate a premeditated murder. Not an accidental killing, but that is covered in Numbers 35:11 and Joshua 23. The ultimate act of revenge, as outlined in Numbers 35th chapter to 27th verse. I'm going to go through these because it's pretty obvious what we're talking about here. This ultimate act of revenge, or death by means of an animal attack, provoked by humans. This is Proverbs 22:13. As I said, though, there is no sentient person in the world who does not understand this commandment. According to the last Gallup polling, 90% of Americans believe in God. So if this is true, no one doesn't understand this commandment. So if this is true, how do we explain what's happening out here? A couple of years ago, a church shooting in Sutherland Springs, Texas, marked the 307th mass shooting in the United States so far that year. A mass shooting is anything where more than 3 people at a time are killed by a lone shooter or salvo. This was, I believe, 2017 17 when this happened. But that number is going up a little bit every year. According to data from the National Gun Violence Archives, never heard of them in any official way, but a total of 317 shooting incidents have occurred as of November, up to 27 from a month ago. Comparatively, this year, it's a lot higher than that. A lot of these stats I didn't review as I usually do because I didn't have a lot of information in front of you about the National Gun Violence Archive. That sounds a little sketchy to me. A mass shooting is described as an incident where 4 or more individuals, I said 3, that's 4. Wrong again. It happens. 4 or more individuals have been shot or killed in the same time and location by 1 or more shooters in concert. The FBI defines a mass killing as the killing of, that's where I got it from, the FBI. 3 or more in a public place. But the federal agency also defines a mass murderer as someone who has killed 4 or more people in the same location. But that puts it up to other these people have to get their acts together, and so far they haven't done so. They can't even get their numbers right. According to the official archive, so far there have been 14,437 murders so far in the United States. This was 2017, a lot higher this year. But let's deal with this way. As stated earlier, 90% of Americans claim a belief in God, capital G. But deeper into that poll, only 25%, or 1 in 4 of these believing Americans, believe that the Bible is the true word of Elohim, or as they say, God. Which means that they certainly may believe that God exists, that they don't have any accurate or factual way to know what He expects of them. They don't read the Bible much. And the ones that do filter it through their ministers and put the lion's share of the responsibility on those ministers. And the ministers, 95% of them don't expect a bodily return of Yeshua Messiah. 95%. And I've read that in several places. Not many more of us out here that are going by this book. From this. That's sad. And a heavy weight to be lifted. For years, many ministers declared that the reason that Elohim had not yet set the end times events in place was because He was waiting for more of His people to prepare themselves for it. so as to be saved. I listened to that for years. After all, it was obvious that something seemed to be delayed. But I no longer believe that Elohim will wait for his people to dilly-dally in sin, hoping that they will stop so he can save them. That defies logic. The other theory was that the Father was delaying the end because there were more people who kept his word than there were who didn't. Numbers don't bear this theory out either, because most of the world is of some other faith than Christianity. Yet it is obvious that something has changed, but not the ways of the world. A title for this one: Too Far Gone. Too far gone. Notice this little hint from our Messiah. It, when studied, is far more than a small hint. As usual, it began with an argument with the Pharisees. Luke, 17th chapter, the 20th verse. Luke, the 17th chapter, the 20th verse. And when he was demanded of the Pharisees when the kingdom of Elohim would come, he answered them and said, the kingdom of Elohim comes not with observation. Just to answer a common question as to why Elohim, when the book says God, be aware of this note in the word study dictionary on the word God as used in the Septuagint, the Greek New Testament. The Septuagint constantly translated the Hebrew plural name Elohim. When used for the true God by the singular Theos, God never, by plural, Theoi. This means gods, more than one. That puts you into a realm that you shouldn't be in. There is only one. Elohim.
Yes.
The Father. The reason for this was that at the time the Septuagint translation was made, Greek idolatry was the prevailing superstition, especially in Egypt under the Ptolemies. Their gods were regarded as demons, in essence, intelligent beings totally separate and distinct from each other. If the translators render the name of the true God by the plural, Theoi, they would have given the heathen culture an idea of God inconsistent with the unity of the divine essence and comfortable to their own polytheistic notions. However, by translating the Hebrew Elohim as God, they inculcated the unity of God and at the same time did not deny a plurality of persons, the Father and the Son, in the divine nature. Continuing in verse 21. Neither shall they say, lo here, or lo there. For behold, the kingdom of Elohim is within you. And he said unto the disciples, the days will come when you shall desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and you shall not see it. He appeared to be speaking more here in reality to the people of Rome in Roman occupied Judea as the disciples would see him in his glorified state, but not yet see the final return in full power. Notice his further prophecy to Judea and to all of us here in verse 23. And they shall say to you, see here, or see there, go not after them, nor follow them. For as the lightning that lightens out of one part of heaven shines unto the other part of heaven, so shall also the Son of Man be in his day. But first must he suffer many things and be rejected of this generation. As Yeshua was betrayed by Judas and taken by Roman soldiers and executed at a stake outside Jerusalem, yes, the disciples saw his return and were energized by it. They spread out through Judea and the surrounding areas, preaching boldly the true faith of Elohim. But what did this prophecy say of our day? There are commonalities to both Lot and Noah. Notice verse 26.
Laundry room door.
As is the and as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be also in the days of the Son of Man. They did eat, they drank, they married wives. By that time, we don't know what they were going to be married. They were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. Here things seem to be going along normally for this age. This normalcy was not normal. However, we've seen that now in ways that we never sought to see or never thought to see. Both. The normalcy, as I said before, was not normal. However, since they knew no other way of life and seemed content, this rumble about a boat saving them from a disaster was when they'd never seen, up to that point, any rain at all. More or less, never seeing any rain at all. Much less torrential rain, unless they repented. These words didn't gain much traction with the people of the Mesopotamian plain. They have never seen rain before. Noah wasn't mocked. He was largely just ignored. These people were far too busy with their daily lives. Verse 28. Likewise, also it was in the days of Lot. They did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. But the same day Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Yet Messiah leaves us one big warning right here in verse 30. Verse 30 says, "Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. In that day, he which shall be upon the rooftop, on the housetop, and his stuff in the house, let him not come down to take it away. And he that is in the field, let him likewise not return back." Remember Lot's wife. Lot's wife delayed and continued to look back while dragging her feet behind Lot and the family, coming along to escape the destruction soon to come to Sodom and the surrounding regions. Her looking back indicated the place of her real treasure. And more pointedly, the treasures of her heart. She failed to trust wholeheartedly or to obey the instructions of Yahweh. The simplest one: don't look back. Sent by angels, thus when the destruction came, she died and was turned into a pillar of salt. Elohim here is directed against the absorption of our minds so fully in temporal, worldly pleasures and interests that we forego our final chance to make it into the kingdom of Elohim, which is everlasting. Verse 33. "Whomsoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it. And whomsoever shall lose his life shall preserve it. I tell you, in that night there shall be two men in bed. One shall be taken, and the other shall be left. Two women shall be grinding together. One shall be taken, and the other left. Two men shall be in the field together. The one shall be taken, and the other left. And they answered and said unto him, Where, Master? And he said unto them, Wherever the body is, there will be the eagles be gathered together. It is important to remember that in Noah's generation, as in Lot's, people were so evil that Elohim decided to eliminate the whole human race. At that point, he had no answers that they were willing to listen to. Noah and his family were found to be the only righteous individuals in all of humanity. Lot and his family were found to be the only citizens of Sodom fit to survive. Yeshua says that this condition will prevail at the end of this age. Just as the people in Noah's day did not listen to the call to repentance and the warning of Elohim's wrath, the vast majority of people in the end of this age will not listen to Yahweh's ministers. Half of them don't even know his name. But for different reasons, though. This is one of the facts that there is no true cohesion of thought in modern faith practices. Out of 7.3 billion people in the world, 2.4 billion claim Christianity. Of the 2.4 billion, 1.3 billion are Catholics, meaning that the large majority of all believers now believe that there is no law. And we've seen only 1 in 4 Americans believe that in the authority and truth of the Bible. As a result, Yahweh's authority in the minds of most American Christians has fallen to the hands of man. And the Bible is little more than a book of stories to entertain us. Most American worship today, in this age, is relegated to modern music, praise dancing, lots of social events of little sacred value, and world-centered conventions, political events, Christian comedy concerts, and other gatherings that have little to do with any belief in the word and law of Elohim. And as politics becomes nearly a religion within many who attempt to merge it with their faith, Satan is pleased because it seems as if his plan for the end times is being pulled together by who? Man. Not realizing what it is that they're doing. Somebody said that. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. The Bible plainly speaks of a one world government at the end time, with the Antichrist or Anti-Messiah as its leader. It would appear that the United Nations will be the catalyst and center of this, as it has been the center of most of its activity up to this point. Most of its machinations have been hidden from regular view on television, and has been largely the subject of much conspiracy theory up to now. But most economies are now on the brink of bankruptcy, and weather patterns prove out that the world's climate is obviously unstable. I don't name it because it'll name itself soon enough. Warning, whatever it is, it's something is happening. More and more world leaders are speaking of a world government, a last-ditch effort to bring the world's governments together in an attempt to resolve the issues that man now has all but admitted that he can't solve alone. No, they haven't openly verbalized any of this, but the many theories set forth prove that many don't have a clue. But somehow the American people are unaware of this. What is happening? What's happening? We are flooded with all manner of entertainment to keep us from knowing what's happening. But things are not getting better. Anyone who is alive now surely will recognize the state of the world from these scriptures, starting with 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter, the 1st verse. But know this, that in the last days, grievous times will be upon us. For men will be lovers of themselves, money lovers, braggarts, arrogant, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural feeling, unyielding, slanderers, without self-control, savage haters of good. Anybody that doesn't doing something now, they laugh at you like you've done something wrong. Betrayers, reckless, puffed up, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of Elohim, having a form of godliness but denying the power of it. Even turn away from these. Repeat that again. Even turn away from these. Sin will continue. Violence will continue. Murders. We've already talked about that enough. Murders, even though mandated to cease, will continue. But as told by Elohim, his people will be forced to remain close to those whom we know we can trust. For the world will have fallen even further away from his word. Even now, 25% of believers don't believe his word. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. The Bible now, it is imperative that we know his word and check it every day. Every word told to us. Thoroughly check it against the words in the Bible. Not paraphrase Bibles either. Word to word. Proving it all. And we must understand that many who claim it are merely doing it for money. Or other more nefarious reasons. Control. Power. It is time to know these things that are alluded to in the scriptures, such as this one. Matthew, the 7th chapter, the 15th verse. Keep yourselves also from the false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing.
That's right.
But inwardly they are ravening wolves. You shall know them by their fruits. We don't realize that a lot of times because we are a personality-driven people. I like him. He gotta be telling the truth. Yeah? I've liked him for years. Years don't show you their fruits.
That's right.
Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree brings forth good fruit. But a corrupt tree brings forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit. Neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that does not bring forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Can't make it any plainer than that. Can't make it any plainer than that. Every tree that does not bring forth good fruit is hewn down, chopped down, and cast into the fire. Where is that fire located? Anybody? Anybody? Gehenna. Yes. Hell for those who don't speak Greek. So that by their fruits you shall know them. Ephesians, the 5th chapter, the 6th verse. Let no one deceive you with vain words, for because of these things the wrath of Elohim comes upon the sons of disobedience. Be not ye therefore partakers with them, for in another time you were darkness, but now you are light in Messiah. Walk as children of light. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth, approving what is well-pleasing unto Elohim, and having no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove and expose them. The world is too far gone to appease at this point. We can only remain as close together as Messiah and follow his word. For only in this word we can find our way to the kingdom of Elohim. Short and sweet.
Amen. Praise him. Amen.